Nobody would ever choose me. She whispered those words so quietly that she thought no one had heard her. Her eyes were filled with tears as she stood alone outside the crowded hotel ballroom, watching couples laugh and families celebrate inside. But she was wrong. Someone had heard every word. Across the room, a wealthy millionaire named Alexander froze mid-conversation. He slowly turned toward her. Then, without saying a word, he walked straight toward the woman everyone else had ignored. And what he said next would change her life forever. The ballroom glittered beneath hundreds of golden lights, but Lily Carter had never felt more invisible. She stood near the service hallway, holding an empty champagne tray against her chest. Around her, wealthy guests laughed, danced, and raised their glasses as soft music filled the enormous room. Tonight was the annual Hartwell Foundation Gala, one of the most prestigious events in the city. For people like Lily, it was simply another shift. She was 24 years old and worked 2 jobs just to keep a small apartment and pay her younger brother's college expenses. She had learned a long time ago not to expect life to be fair. Still, she had hoped that tonight might be different. Earlier that evening, the hotel manager had told her she would be helping in the main ballroom. "Smile," he had warned her. "These guests are important." Lily had nodded. She always nodded. She didn't complain when guests snapped their fingers at her. She didn't complain when someone spilled a drink on her uniform. And she certainly didn't complain when wealthy people walked past her as if she were part of the furniture. But tonight, one conversation hurt more than all the others. Lily had just finished serving a table when she overheard 2 women talking near the floral decorations. "That's the youngest daughter," one woman whispered. "Which one?" "The one in the silver dress. Her parents practically worship her." The other woman laughed softly. "Of course they do. Look at her. She has everything." Lily glanced toward the woman they were discussing. She was beautiful, confident, and surrounded by people who clearly adored her. For a moment, Lily wondered what that felt like. To walk into a room and know someone was happy to see you. To know that if you disappeared, someone would notice. To know that someone would choose you. The thought hit her harder than she expected. She quickly lowered her eyes and returned to work. Hours passed. Near midnight, the ballroom became quieter. Guests moved toward the dance floor while staff began collecting glasses and plates. Lily carried a stack of empty glasses toward the kitchen when she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Lily." She stopped. It was Mr. Grant, the assistant manager. "Yes? You're needed in the ballroom. I'll be there in a minute. I just need to put these away." He looked irritated. "Now." Lily carefully placed the glasses on the counter. When she returned to the ballroom, she immediately noticed the problem. A guest had knocked over a glass of red wine near one of the expensive tables. Before Lily could reach for a cloth, a woman in a designer dress pointed at the stain. "Are you blind?" Lily froze. "I'm sorry. This carpet probably costs more than your entire salary. I'll clean it immediately." The woman rolled her eyes. Some people shouldn't be allowed near expensive things. A few guests laughed. Lily felt heat rise to her face. She quietly cleaned the carpet. No one apologized. No one even looked at her. When she finished, she carried the cleaning supplies toward the hallway. She kept walking until the noise of the ballroom faded behind her. Then she stopped. For the first time that night, she allowed herself to cry. She wiped her cheeks quickly, angry with herself. "Don't cry," she whispered. She took a deep breath. "You're okay." But she wasn't. Not really. She leaned against the quiet hallway wall and stared at the floor. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from her younger brother, Noah. "Sis, don't worry. I'll find a way to pay you back someday." Lily smiled through her tears. She typed back. "You don't owe me anything. Just finish college." She put the phone away. Then she looked through the glass doors leading toward the ballroom. Inside, couples were dancing. Families were taking photographs. Friends were laughing. Everyone seemed to belong. Lily pressed her lips together. "I wish someone would choose me," she whispered. The words escaped before she could stop them. She immediately looked around. Nobody was there. Or at least, she thought nobody was there. But several yards away, a man had just stepped out of the private lounge. Alexander Reed. At 34, Alexander was one of the city's most successful businessmen. He owned several companies, lived in a penthouse overlooking the river, and was constantly surrounded by people who wanted something from him. Yet tonight, he had come to the gala alone. He had been having a conversation with a board member when something caught his attention. A voice. Quiet. Broken. He turned toward the hallway. At first, he saw only Lily standing with her back against the wall. Then he heard her words again. "I wish someone would choose me." Alexander stopped. Something about the way she said it made him forget everything else. She wasn't asking for money. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She wasn't even aware that anyone was listening. She was simply telling the truth. Alexander watched as Lily wiped another tear from her cheek and straightened herself. Then she picked up the cleaning supplies. She was about to walk away when a man's voice stopped her. "Wait." Lily turned. Her eyes widened. Alexander was standing several feet away. She immediately looked behind herself, wondering if he was speaking to someone else. "Me?" she asked. "Yes." Lily became nervous. "Did I do something wrong?" Alexander slowly shook his head. "No." He looked at her for a moment. Then he asked quietly, "Why do you believe nobody would choose you?" Lily's heart stopped. He had heard her. Every word. She looked down, embarrassed. "I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was there." "You don't need to apologize. I was just having a bad night." "So was I." Lily looked up. For the first time that evening, someone wasn't looking through her. Someone was actually looking at her. Alexander took one step closer. And before Lily could understand why a stranger was showing so much interest in her, a woman from the ballroom suddenly called his name. "Alexander. They're waiting for you." Lily immediately stepped back. "You should go." Alexander glanced toward the ballroom. Then back at her. "No," he said. "I think they can wait." And that was the moment Lily realized something strange. For the first time in her life, someone had actually chosen to stay. Lily didn't know what to do with Alexander's kindness. She had spent years learning how to disappear in crowded rooms. She knew how to lower her voice, avoid eye contact, and apologize even when something wasn't her fault. But Alexander didn't seem interested in treating her like everyone else did. He stood in front of her, waiting patiently. "Are you always this hard on yourself?" he asked. Lily gave a nervous smile. "I'm not hard on myself. You just said nobody would ever choose you." She looked away. "That wasn't meant for anyone to hear." "I know." "Then please forget it." Alexander studied her expression. "I don't think I can." Lily frowned. "Why?" "Because people usually say things like that when they've been made to feel unwanted for a very long time." His words touched something she had tried desperately to hide. Lily looked toward the ballroom. "My family isn't here," she said quietly. Alexander didn't interrupt. "My parents separated when I was 16. My mother moved away a few years later. My father," she paused. "He has his own family now." "And your brother?" "He's the only person I have." Alexander nodded. "He sounds important to you." "He is." A small smile appeared on Lily's face. "Noah is 20. He's studying engineering. He's smarter than I ever was." "And you pay his tuition?" Lily looked surprised. "How did you know?" "You mentioned it when you looked at your phone." She laughed softly. "You notice everything, don't you?" "Sometimes." Lily suddenly realized she was standing in front of one of the richest men in the city while wearing a plain hotel uniform. She became uncomfortable. "You should probably go back to the gala?" Alexander glanced toward the ballroom. "Why?" "Because everyone is waiting for you." "Everyone always waits for me." His answer was so casual that Lily almost smiled. Before she could respond, Mr. Grant appeared from the hallway. "There you are." Lily straightened immediately. "I was coming back." Mr. Grant looked at Alexander and instantly changed his attitude. "Mr. Reed. I apologize. I didn't realize you were here." Alexander gave him a brief nod. Mr. Grant turned toward Lily. "You still have 3 tables to clear." "I'll do it." "And the VIP lounge needs to be checked." "Yes, sir." Alexander's expression changed. "She's been working all evening." Mr. Grant looked uncomfortable. "That's her job." "Is it also her job to be insulted by your guests?" Mr. Grant said nothing. Lily quickly stepped in. "Please. It's okay." Alexander looked at her. "It isn't." Lily lowered her voice. "If you keep defending me, I'll probably lose my job." That made him pause. "You need this job." "Yes." "Then I'll stop." Lily was surprised. Most wealthy people didn't understand what losing one shift could mean to someone like her. Alexander did. At least, she thought he did. He reached into his jacket and took out a small black card. "Call me tomorrow." Lily stared at it. "Why?" "I have a question for you." "What kind of question?" "You'll find out." She hesitated before taking the card. Their fingers briefly touched. Lily quickly pulled her hand back. "Thank you." Alexander smiled. "Lily?" "Yes?" "Don't ever say nobody would choose you again." She looked into his eyes. "Why?" "Because you don't know who's listening." Then he walked back toward the ballroom. Lily stood frozen. For the rest of her shift, she couldn't stop thinking about his words. When she finally arrived home, it was nearly 2 in the morning. Her tiny apartment was quiet. She removed her shoes and dropped onto the couch. The black card was still in her hand. Alexander Reed. She searched his name online. Her eyes widened. He wasn't just wealthy. He was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. His company, Reed Holdings, owned hotels, technology firms, and luxury properties across the country. Lily stared at the screen. What was I thinking? She almost threw the card away. Then her phone rang. It was Noah. Hey, sis. Hey, why are you awake? I wanted to tell you something. What? I got an internship interview. Lily immediately sat up. Really? Yeah. It's at Reed Holdings. Her heart skipped. Reed Holdings? Yeah. Apparently the CEO is Alexander Reed. Lily said nothing. Are you still there? Yes. That company is huge. If I get the internship, it could change everything. Lily looked at Alexander's card. She suddenly wondered whether their meeting had been a coincidence. The next morning, Lily received an unexpected message. Alexander, are you free for lunch? She stared at it for several seconds. Then another message appeared. Alexander, I promise I'm not asking you to work. She smiled despite herself. Lily, okay. Where? His reply came almost immediately. Alexander, my office. Lily's smile disappeared. His office? She had never even been inside a corporate headquarters. Still, something told her she needed to go. Later that afternoon, she entered the glass tower of Reed Holdings wearing the nicest clothes she owned. The receptionist looked at her. Do you have an appointment? Alexander Reed asked me to come. The receptionist checked the schedule. Then her expression changed. Yes, Ms. Carter. Mr. Reed is expecting you. Lily walked toward the private elevator. As the doors closed, she took a deep breath. She had no idea why Alexander wanted to see her. She had no idea that her brother's internship would soon become connected to something much bigger. And she certainly didn't know that Alexander had discovered something about Lily's past that she herself had never been told. When the elevator doors opened, Alexander was waiting. But this time, he wasn't smiling. He looked serious. Lily, he said, we need to talk about your family. Her heart sank. What does my family have to do with you? Alexander looked at her for a long moment. More than you realize. Lily stared at Alexander as if he had suddenly started speaking another language. My family? Alexander nodded. Yes. She slowly sat down in the chair across from his desk. What could my family possibly have to do with you? Alexander remained standing for a moment. Then he walked toward the window overlooking the city. About 10 years ago, my father invested in a small construction company. Lily listened carefully. The company belonged to a man named Daniel Carter. Her face went pale. My father? Yes. Lily stood immediately. How do you know my father? Because my father trusted him. She shook her head. I don't understand. Alexander turned around. Neither did I, until recently. He walked back to his desk and placed a thin folder in front of her. Lily stared at it. What is that? Records from an old business dispute. She hesitated before opening it. Inside were photographs, contracts, bank statements, and newspaper clippings. Then she saw her father's name. Daniel Carter. Her hands began to shake. My father told me he never owned a company. He did. Lily looked up. Why would he lie? I don't know. She turned another page. There was a photograph of her father standing beside Alexander's father. They were shaking hands outside a construction site. Lily had never seen the photograph before. My father always said he worked for other people. Alexander nodded. That is what everyone was told. What happened? My father invested several $1 million into the company. Within 2 years, the money disappeared. Lily's eyes widened. Was my father arrested? No. Then what happened? He vanished. Lily slowly sat down. Her mind raced. Her father had left their family when she was 16. She had always believed he simply abandoned them. But now Alexander was telling her there was more to the story. Why are you showing me this? Because your father wasn't the only person involved. Alexander opened another file. Lily leaned forward. There was another shareholder. She looked at the document. The name made her blood run cold. Margaret Carter. Her mother. No. Alexander nodded. Your parents were business partners. Lily's voice trembled. My mother knew about this? Yes. Then why did they separate? I don't know. Lily pushed the documents away. This can't be true. Alexander didn't argue. I understand. No, you don't. She stood and walked toward the window. My whole life, I've thought my father left because he didn't care about us. She wiped a tear from her cheek. And now you're telling me he might have disappeared because of some business deal? I'm telling you that something happened 10 years ago, and the truth was never made public. Lily turned toward him. Why investigate it now? Alexander hesitated. Because someone has been accessing those old accounts. Who? I don't know yet. Then why involve me? Because your name appears in the records. Lily froze. My name? Alexander nodded. Not just yours. Noah's too. She immediately became protective. Noah has nothing to do with this. I know. Then leave him out of it. I intend to. Lily looked down at the documents again. A strange feeling settled in her stomach. What do you want from me? Nothing. She looked surprised. I don't believe you. Alexander gave a faint smile. Good. You shouldn't blindly trust anyone. For the first time, Lily noticed something different about him. He wasn't trying to impress her. He wasn't offering money. He was simply giving her information. Then why help me? Alexander looked at her. Because last night you said you wished someone would choose you. Lily's eyes filled with tears. I remember. I don't know you well enough to promise that I'll solve every problem in your life. He paused. But I can promise that I won't walk away when things get difficult. Lily looked away. Nobody had ever said something like that to her. Not her father. Not her mother. Not even the people she had worked beside for years. Her phone suddenly rang. It was Noah. She answered immediately. Hey, Noah. His voice sounded nervous. Sis, where are you? I'm at Reed Holdings. There was silence. Why? Alexander asked me to come here. Noah's voice became quieter. Did he tell you about Dad? Lily's heart stopped. What do you know about Dad? I found something. What? I found an old box in Mom's storage unit. Lily stood up. What was inside? Pictures. Documents. And a letter. What letter? I haven't read all of it yet. Where are you? Home. Don't touch anything. I'll be there. She ended the call. Alexander had heard enough to understand something important. Your brother found something. Yes. I'll have someone drive you. No. Lily. I need to do this myself. Alexander nodded. Then I'll come with you. She looked at him. Why? Because if those documents are connected to your father, you shouldn't face them alone. They left the office together. But neither noticed the man standing across the street. He had been watching Lily enter the building. He lifted his phone. She knows, he said quietly. A voice answered. How much? Enough to become a problem. The man looked toward the glass tower. What should I do? There was a long pause. Then the voice on the other end said, make sure she never finds the letter. Meanwhile, Lily and Alexander arrived at her apartment. Noah was waiting by the door. He looked frightened. You need to see this. He handed Lily a sealed envelope. Her name was written across the front. The handwriting was unmistakable. It belonged to her father. Lily's hands trembled. She slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Only one sentence had been written. Lily, if you're reading this, don't trust your mother. Lily looked up in shock. Alexander's expression became serious. And suddenly, the woman Lily had spent years believing was protecting her family became the person she feared most. Lily couldn't take her eyes off the letter. Lily, if you're reading this, don't trust your mother. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Noah looked at his sister. What does that mean? Lily slowly shook her head. I don't know. Alexander took the letter carefully and examined it. The paper is old. The handwriting looks genuine. Lily looked at him. You believe it's from my father? Yes. Noah stepped closer. There was more in the box. He opened the old cardboard box and pulled out several photographs. One showed their father standing beside Alexander's father. Another showed their mother inside the construction company's office. Then Noah pulled out a small USB drive. I found this hidden underneath the bottom of the box. Alexander's expression changed. Do you know what's on it? No. They connected the drive to Noah's laptop. A single video file appeared. The date was from 10 years earlier. Lily pressed play. Her father's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired and frightened. If you're watching this, Daniel said, something has gone terribly wrong. Lily covered her mouth. Her father's voice continued. I discovered that money was being transferred out of the company without my approval. At first, I believed it was an accounting mistake. He paused. Then I discovered who was doing it. Lily looked at Noah. Their mother. Daniel continued. Margaret wasn't working alone. She was being pressured by another investor who threatened to expose her past if she didn't cooperate. Alexander leaned closer to the screen. Who? He whispered. Daniel looked directly into the camera. Victor Hale. Alexander's face went completely still. Victor Hale was one of his father's former business associates. A man who had disappeared from the business world years ago. Daniel continued. I confronted Margaret. She promised to return the money and end the arrangement. But before I could report everything, Victor threatened our children. Lily's eyes filled with tears. That's why you left? Her father continued as if he could hear her. I didn't abandon you, Lily. I left because I believed disappearing was the only way to keep you and Noah safe. Lily broke down. All those years of believing she wasn't worth staying for suddenly collapsed. Daniel's final words were simple. I'm sorry you had to grow up believing I didn't choose you. The screen went black. Lily covered her face. Noah began crying too. Alexander quietly stepped beside her. For once, Lily didn't try to hide her tears. She leaned against him. I thought he didn't love us. He did, Alexander said softly. And my mother? We need to find her. They didn't have to wait long. The next morning, Margaret Carter arrived at Lily's apartment. She looked nervous. When she saw Alexander, her expression changed. You shouldn't have involved him. Lily stepped forward. Tell me the truth. Margaret looked at her daughter. What did you find? The video. Her mother went pale. Lily held up the letter. You lied to us for 10 years. Margaret sat down. I was scared. You let me believe Dad abandoned us. I thought it was safer. Safer for who? Margaret began to cry. For all of you. She admitted everything. Victor had threatened her family. She had helped move money from the company, believing she could eventually return it. But when Daniel discovered the truth, Victor forced him into hiding. Margaret had spent years protecting the secret because Victor had continued threatening them. Alexander immediately contacted his legal team. Within days, the old financial records were reopened. The evidence from Daniel's video, the USB files, and the bank records finally connected everything. Victor Hale was found and arrested. Margaret cooperated with investigators. Daniel, who had been living under another name in another state, was finally contacted. 3 weeks later, Lily stood at a small train station. A man stepped onto the platform. He looked older than she remembered. But she knew him immediately. Dad? Daniel stopped. His eyes filled with tears. Lily. She ran toward him. They held each other for a long time. I thought you left me, she whispered. I never left you in my heart. Lily cried against his shoulder. For the first time in years, she understood the truth. She had never been unwanted. She had simply been surrounded by people who were too afraid to tell her the truth. Months passed. The investigation ended with Daniel's name cleared. Noah received his internship at Reed Holdings and eventually earned a full-time position. And Lily? Alexander offered her a job in the company's foundation. You don't have to accept, he told her. I know. You can build whatever life you want. Lily smiled. Then I think I'll start by choosing myself. Alexander smiled back. That sounds like a good beginning. One evening, months after the gala, Lily returned to the same hotel where everything had started. The ballroom was decorated for another charity event. She stood near the exact hallway where she had once whispered those heartbreaking words. Alexander walked toward her. You're quiet. Lily smiled. I was remembering something. What? She looked around the ballroom. I once stood here and said, nobody would ever choose me. Alexander's expression softened. And now? She looked directly at him. Now I know I was wrong. He stepped closer. Why? Because I learned that being chosen by someone else isn't what makes you valuable. Alexander smiled. Then what does? Lily took his hand. Choosing yourself. He nodded. And if someone wants to choose you too? She laughed softly. Then they better be sure. I am. Lily looked into his eyes. You are? Alexander squeezed her hand. I've been sure since the night I heard you whisper that you wanted someone to choose you. The music began playing behind them. Lily smiled. This time, she wasn't standing alone in the hallway. She wasn't invisible. She wasn't wondering whether anyone cared. She had found her father. She had protected her brother. She had discovered the truth. And most importantly, she had discovered her own worth. The woman who once believed nobody would ever choose her had finally learned the most important lesson of all. You don't have to wait for someone to choose you before you choose yourself. And when the right people finally come into your life, they won't choose you because you're broken. They'll choose you because they see the strength you never knew you had. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss our next emotional story. And don't forget to tell us in the comments, ***, where are you watching from, ***.